So just a quick disclaimer on this video. Tyler had to record from another location other than his home, so he was recording on his phone. That's why his quality is kind of low for this video and another Taps for Two. I think it's coming out later this month. But yeah, that's the reason why his sound quality is lower than usual. And I don't know why, but I'm a little bit quiet. But that's fine because I don't talk as much as Tyler and Bento. So yeah, just a little bit of an explanation on why that is. Not gonna be a normal thing just for this and another Taps for Two. But yeah. Hello, Planeswalkers! Welcome! I'm Andrew, and I'm joined by Tyler and Bento.
Hello.
You sound so tired, Andrew.
I'm better than I was for the last recording, but yeah,
we're
today
good.
on Taps for Two, we're going to talk about Proxies, which is at the time of recording, it's pretty topical. The debate over whether or not Proxies should be allowed in Magic at all. So we'll touch on that. Talk about. We have Bento here who makes Proxies.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Very, very nice proxies. So I guess
Thank you.
kind of what I'm most curious about before we actually get into the debate of like proxies versus legitimate cards is just like the process that you go through to make these. Because like I was saying, I have the Vampiric Tutor proxy that you did, and for a lot of like your first wave, like the artwork is similar, but it's in your style. So I was curious on what your process was.
Yeah, sure. So I guess well, let's start at the beginning. I started doing this essentially when quarantine started. I made all of Series 1 because I realized, like, hey, Sliver Queen just jumped $100 in price. Maybe I shouldn't be playing with this in my deck. Like, perhaps I want to keep it in a nice near mint condition, or I guess light play now. And so I was like, well, I might as well. Why don't I just try my hand at making proxies? Because I need it. I've like made or gotten proxies before just for like shocks and whatnot, just stuff that I already have, and
yeah, I've got
need
bunch
more
of my decks. I've got a bunch of proxy dual lands.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm not about to spend $500+ for a land.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest talking point there is cost of these older cards.
Yeah,
people want to be able to play with.
Yeah, but as for I guess the proxies themselves and going about making them, I was like, oh, why don't I make some cool shiny proxies? And I was like, okay, why don't I make 10, right? Just so I can get them printed in bulk and not have to worry about it too much. And so I started with the first sliver because I wanted a proxy for my CEDH deck. As for some of these other ones, what was it? First sliver, I've got the Mana Crypt because I recently bought a Mana Crypt, although now the price is way lower. And
Sliver Queen.
Sliver Queen, yes. I made the Sliver Queen and the Sliver Overlord for my Sliver deck. I made my own food chain, and then like Force of Will, etc. I wanted to make staples that like I have. My philosophy on proxies, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later, is I only play with proxies that I own personally. I don't really have a problem with people playing with ones they don't have. That just comes down to the group of people you're playing with. But me personally, I think that it's just like you should own the card, unless we're talking like now Gaia's Cradle and the duels and whatnot. But
No,
like,
I think-
Hundreds of dollar cards.
yeah,
because I think that's more or less what I've seen, like, when it comes to Wizards and their official stance. Is I was seeing things that, this is a long time ago, where it was
Mhm.
like, if you've got, like, for example, like you were saying, you have this like $100 Sliver Queen, and you want to play with it in your deck, but you don't want this card to lose its value.
Mhm.
I was seeing like official stuff from Wizards that was saying, if you bring the original card with you to prove that you have it, they would allow a proxy of it in your deck at a tournament.
Yes, and like the thing is, I guess like the biggest debacle about proxies, sort of what you're talking about, is like, yes, at sanctioned play, you have to prove you have it. It needs to be have all of the rules text on it. Name needs to be visible, et cetera, et cetera. But most people, especially on Twitter, recently talking about the ethicality of proxies are people who play Commander, where there is no, I mean, there's a competitive scene, but there's no sanctioned Commander play. It doesn't matter if you have a proxy or not, at least in a legal sense, because it's a very social game. It really just all comes down to communicating with play group, right?
Which I think it's funny that there's a lot of things about like Commander rules that kind of come down to that. Like, I know a lot of people will bring up the rule 0 of like wanting banned cards in their deck, or wanting planeswalkers that don't have this
Mhm.
planeswalker can be your commander text.
Mhm.
Like
Or the Nephilims.
I know Sheepy Cuties got a mono white deck that runs 4 Squadron Hawks,
Nice.
which
Respect.
she only brings out if people are cool with it. And a
Yeah.
lot of the time, okay, cool, it's 4 Squadron Hawks. No one's going to make a big stink, because I think Squadron Hawk's whole thing is when it comes into play, you get to go grab 3 other copies of it.
Or it's as many copies, I think, of Squadron Hawk in your deck or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so she runs 4 copies of it, and she's just like, I always ask people if I can play it, and if they say they're cool with it, then I'll play it.
Mm-hmm.
There was, God, what's his name? He's the really skinny Jesus-looking dude that loves to cook.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. Oh, he's very cool. What is his name?
He's super cool, and he was posting deck lists. You had tagged me in one of his tweets.
Yeah, the Brushwag.
He had mentioned doing an Almighty Brushwag Commander deck, and I was like, oh yes, no, I'm all over this.
It's Nathan Jones, I think.
Yeah, him.
But yeah, like I think that, or I guess before we move on to this, I'll just quickly say that the stuff that I made, for proxies and whatnot was like super simple. I ended up doing like the waves, like I call them Series 1, and I'm working on Series 2 right now. I think anybody could do it. I actually had someone in my DMs like, hey, how did you do this? And I told them like, oh, I work with the original art. I do some extensions and some tracing, at least with Series 1.
Right, I'm holding the Vampiric Tutor in front of me right now, and it's the hand.
That one was tricky.
Skull with the knife in the top.
That one was tricky because I didn't know how to do the colors right. But yeah,
I think you did a great job with it.
I was pretty happy with it, but at the same time, and this is where it goes into like, okay, what am I doing now? With Series 2, I've at least sort of made a commitment to do just 100% original art for all of Series 2. I don't know if that's a pattern I'll keep up, but it felt weird getting a lot of praise, even now still, getting lots of praise over Series 1 when all I was doing was some glorified editing, when it really wasn't mine, which, is neither here nor there and doesn't really matter, but I like the idea of... Yeah.
I went to college for art. That is what my degree is in.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they drill into you while you were there. My college no longer exists. But they drill into you while you're there. Good artists borrow, great artists steal, which obviously doesn't mean, go out and plagiarize. But this idea of everyone is borrowing from everyone else and putting their own spin on it Like, I think this app, and I get where you're coming from 100%, but I also like look at it from that other way of, yes, you're using for this first wave, like you are using at least like traces or outlines of the original art, but you're putting a lot of your own spin on it.
Sure, yeah. And I mean, and I love I think that the minimalist approach works really well when using the original artwork because they are recognizable designs. Like, for
Exactly.
example, the food chain, which is essentially a tracing of the Judge promo food chain. And ordinarily that might not look like anything significant, but upon, you know, uh, uh, well, since you know the card, it's recognizable.
Like, because
Yeah.
I also noticed when I had gotten this pack of proxies from you, the Vampiric Tutor and the Mana Crypt, aside from the name and the casting cost, have no rules text on them.
Oh yeah, because you wanted the full art variant.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because who doesn't know what Vampiric Tutor does or Mana Crypt?
Yeah, and I like being able to do that sort of spin on it. Plus, it's really easy on me because I suck at making card frames. But
yeah, that's the part that's because I kind of want to get into doing this myself because I've got Photoshop, I've got all the tools, but the bit that scares me is the card frame.
Yeah, oh yeah. Although I will say for at least the method I did for Series 1, another reason why I did it, because I was in quarantine and never thought like, oh, people really like these, I should, start showing these off to people, is it was really fast. Like, I mean, I think I made all of Series 1 in probably 2 to 3 weeks. And then I've been on Series 2 now since July, or like beginning of July, and I'm not even halfway through. I just finished number 4, which is Chrome Mox.
Yeah, I love the.
What is you're doing original art for these ones, right?
Yeah,
they're absolutely all like vaporwave too.
I've tried to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I realized after saying that the Chrome Mox isn't vaporwave, but what's that time one? It's not Time Twister.
Time Spiral.
Time Spiral has that vaporwave.
Yeah, and once again, there's still some influence of like cards that I need proxies of because I needed a Time Spiral proxy because I recently bought one. It's like one of my favorite cards of all time. But yeah, this one's going to be a lot more wacky. Like my Soul Ring was using I didn't use my traditional like quote unquote stained glass look in the back. Instead, I used some swirls that I've been messing around with in Illustrator. Mox Diamond is a bit more reminiscent of some stuff I've been working on. Time Spiral is more vaporwavy, and then Chrome Mox I used what was called a Turing pattern, which I saw a couple. I mean, a lot of these designs are actually just inspired by cool tutorials I see on YouTube. Like, hey, that's a cool design. How can I mess with that, mix with it, all that sort of thing? How can I use that as an inspiration? And that's where the Chrome Mox came from, because all those weird squiggles.
The good old artist mantra. I saw this really cool thing. How do I do it?
Yeah, it's exactly right. It's exactly right. But yeah, like that's, I guess, my process for proxies now. I'm also now have I started a Patreon, which has been way more successful than I could have ever imagined, which is absolutely bizarre. Like, to set the stage, I'm a computer engineering and mathematics double major at my university right now. Nice. I'm not an art guy, really. I mean, I know Photoshop. I've been using Photoshop forever. I love art, but I've never really considered an artist, right? And oops, there we go. Sorry, Discord was freaking out. And here I am, right? So it's weird how things have turned, but I'm making tokens for the Patreon, which is really, really fun.
Yeah, I saw the bird token that also had the vaporwave style.
Yes, I have a new one that I'm probably going to announce within the next week. Here, actually,
I saw your hint for it. I was
Yes.
trying to figure out what any of that meant.
It's I mean, shoot, I'm just gonna don't you can't tell anybody. We can just have this reaction for the podcast, but I'll send you it right now.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, because
you can you can talk about it since it'll come out next month.
Ooh,
I like that.
Oh, that's rad.
I have a couple more things to fix, but with these Patreon tokens, I'm just trying to do crazy stuff. I want to do all sorts of unique takes, and I've seen people do alters of cards in like a blueprint style, and I was like, hey, why don't I do that for this servo? And so I think I literally finished this today. I did some final touches today, but that'll be next month's thing, and it's really fun. I don't know. Anyways, I've been talking about myself a lot. Let's.
No, I'm reading all the little notes that are on this servo card.
Hopefully, they will not be very visible on the actual card because I did not put a lot of thought into the notes I wrote.
We've got omnidirectional joint for travel over unusual terrain.
Just random buzzwords of omnidirectional. Oh, that sounds cool.
Legs are crafted out of hardened mechano steel.
Literally something I just made up. Literally something I made. The only thing that has any connection to Magic is the I called it, what was it, solidified aether, which is Kaladesh. But actually the fun fact is with those hints in the bottom corner is the signatures. 17. That's one of them. The signature is Saheeli, yeah, and it's also approved by Niv Mizzet's initials. As who is it? Mike pointed out on Twitter that the indent code is the casting cost of Saheeli Ray and Felidar Guardian.
Oh, one blue red dash 3 white, and then elite.
That was just something stupid. And finally, the drawing number in the top left is the date that Kaladesh was released, I'm pretty sure. And then the date, you can't really see it in this preview on Discord, but the date underneath Niv Mizzet's initials is the banning of Felidar Guardian and Standard, I think. So I thought that would just be fun to fool around and make some cool little...
This is super cool.
It's very, very fun. I was very happy with... Well, I was a little hesitant about how it turned out, but then I showed it to some other people and they told me it was good. And I was like, oh, okay, it's good.
Oh, yeah, no, it's... All the little Easter eggs are all super, super neat.
Thank you.
If this and the first wave of Proxies is telling of anything, I'm really excited for what you're going to do next.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I'm very excited, and that's the biggest thing. Like what you just said is that there are people that are excited for things that I'm making. It's nuts. Definitely not where I expected to be. My Twitter account blew up like nobody's business, and now I'm faced with the responsibility of being like a avid content creator, quote unquote, which is strange.
God, we want to do that.
Who wants to be a content creator?
Goodness. Yeah, so that's Bento Box Proxies as a whole.
Oh yeah, we'll link to your Patreon and your Twitter and everything down in the description for this.
Sweet. But I'd love to hear y'all's takes about what we're open the episode with about the what you think of proxies in EDH or just Magic as a whole.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to start, Andrew?
Yeah, because I've been too quiet all day, but yeah, I think they're just fine in any case, because especially in EDH, I think you touched on this earlier. It's a very casual, friendly format. It's not competitive for the most part, and there's no sanctioned tournaments for it, so it makes more sense to be more lax about proxies, especially when so many good cards are so expensive. Even some mediocre cards are expensive. But it just opens up the door for more people to access these cards if they can just make their own copies of it. And it's
as a mono black player myself, the fact that Cabal coffers is an uncommon that costs $60 will never cease to make me angry.
yeah, that's the kind of thing though, right? Because
Is that on reserve list?
I don't think it is.
It's strange that that hasn't been reprinted.
It might.
I mean, they
be,
made
and that's why
the powered down version, whatever it was called. Let me.
Cabal Stronghold.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. An interesting thing that I always think about when people talk about proxies is like back when I worked at an LGS, I took part in a legacy tournament as a fill-in just because we wanted another person and we had a legacy deck for the shop, and so I just played for that, and that's fine. Yeah, Cabal Coffers is not on the reserve list. Wow, there's an F&M promo for it? Wow. Anyways, and so I played with a deck, and at the Legacy tournament, and I was told, as is the case at some other Legacy tournaments, is, you're allowed to use proxies. It was like up to 10 or 15 in your deck. And so, I was just playing along, and I was playing, what is his name? True Name Nemesis, and it was just a scrap of paper in a card sleeve. Like... So I think that it's understandable, or I guess I should say proxies are inevitable, right? In the environment.
Especially in those older formats where, you're playing with cards that... I saw someone that was selling a mock Sapphire for $3,600.
That's pretty good price.
Exactly.
Compared to what I've seen.
It's pretty bonkers, though.
Yeah.
A piece of cardboard can be that much. And it makes the game less of a pay to win if you allow proxies.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a friend who doesn't have the money to build his own deck, so he asked me if I would help him set up a Google Docs document that has all the cards he wanted, and he just printed them out and stuck them in sleeves, and now he has an EDH deck that he wasn't able to afford.
Yeah.
Wasn't that basically what your very first Commander deck was, Andrew?
Yeah, that's what the first...
You came over to my
Locust
place.
God was.
Yeah, it wasn't Locust God. It was Niv
Mizzet.
Yeah, because we went with the picture where he had a googly eye.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, because at least at the time, I didn't have the money to buy cards, and it was super helpful to getting started with the game.
At the time, you didn't have money to buy cards, and now I had to try and talk you, or I succeeded in talking you out of looking into a VIP edition of Double Masters.
Haha. Only an idiot would buy those.
I very briefly considered it. Did you buy one?
If I say yes on here, will I lose all my credibility?
Oh, it's all right. You already lost. No.
Okay, just as a brief side note to defend myself, I did not want to... I would never buy it through an Amazon or a Card Kingdom to support those. I went to an LGS, and I got a pretty good price on it, and I really just wanted it to do for the fun. I'm a stupid Timmy, and I like opening shiny things. I ended up getting a decent pull, but...
I can't argue with you on that.
Yeah, I didn't want to post it on Twitter because I knew I'd be ripped to shreds. Which is, totally fair, but someone who told me or helped me consider it was it's essentially the same as a mini box. You will either win or you will lose. It's just the risk is going to be greater. You will either pull a Goblin Guide and Expedition map or,
Did you see that one guy on Twitter that got three VIP boosters?
Yes.
And Yeah, all of them were the 2 foil box toppers.
Yeah.
Was it Goblin Guide and Expedition Map?
It was Goblin Guide and the Lightning Greaves.
That's right. It was 3 VIP boosters. All 3 of them, his foil box toppers, were Lightning Greaves and
Yeah.
Goblin
And
Guide.
that's why I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy one. I'm not gonna buy another. If I lose, I lose. If I, get a good thing, I get a good thing. And I got like a Toxic Deluge and Thoughtseize, and I was like, yeah, okay, that's pretty good.
You know what?
I'll take it.
You could have gotten a Meddling Mage. And...
That was my fear. I would have hated getting a Meddling Mage. I was cool with Goblin Guide or Expedition Map or any of the Urza lands. Meddling Mage was my fear.
Just the
but
worst.
I have a question for y'all since we're on this topic of proxies and I guess controversy about it, because I've been seeing it pop up on Twitter is banning the reserve list.
So
in terms of banning cards that are on it, not removing the reserve list. That's a different discussion.
I see what you're saying. Where if the card is on the reserve list, are we talking specifically banned in Commander or banned?
I suppose, yeah. Let's just talk in context of Commander. I think that's where I saw it.
Because banning the reserve list in Commander, what does that really take away from? That takes away the dual lands.
Takes all the duels. Takes Mox Diamond. Takes Time Twister. Takes Library of Alexandria. Or wait, is that banned? That is banned, isn't it?
I think Library is already banned.
Yeah. What am I confusing that with?
I don't think it would affect the format too much.
Gaia's Cradle. I feel like it would do some crazy things. The saddest thing that it would be for me is it would get rid of Sliver Queen, which would just invalidate my entire Sliver deck because she is like crucial to it. But I get the desire for it.
I understand where people are coming from it. I know there's a lot of people, specifically I know like Shivam talks about he hates it. It tears him apart anytime they have to ban something in Commander, and I get that. I think there's cards that do need to go. Like as soon as they were like, "Hey, Iona is banned," I was like, "Hey, cool! Don't let the door hit you on the way out."
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I love that Commander has such a short ban list for the amount of cards that are allowed in the format. But there are some stinkers on that ban list that I don't think should be banned, just such as Iona. I think.
Oh yeah, no. I think because Iona's whole thing is like if you're playing a single color deck and you get shut out of the game, like I don't think that's fun.
Like I get that, but at what is she like 8 mana? I don't think it's that. Like I'm not super concerned about it. Like if you get to that point, I mean, I guess in a mono-color deck, I get it because unless you're playing blue, you probably can't stop it. But there are 3 other people at the table. Although I guess it's fair that they don't want to like disenfranchise monocolored decks, but
I mean,
like,
it's everyone's got their opinions on it. I'm glad Iona got banned. I know.
Wish Paradox Engine wasn't banned.
What was that?
Because Paradox Engine, it was banned
Paradox
before
Engine,
I started playing, so I didn't even get to have fun with it.
Back when Cockatrice was the way that Andrew and I played online, I had a Traxos deck that had Paradox Engine. And Andrew, I don't know if you remember this. It was a game we were playing with Drew, where Drew Cyclonic Rifted and bounced my entire board back to hand. Like, I had maybe like 20 plus things that went back to my hand. I rebuilt everything and then some the next turn.
Because of Paradox Engine?
Because of Paradox Engine.
Well, yeah, it's a strong card for sure. I don't really care,
that
but
one necessarily needed to be banned.
Same with Coalition Victory. There's no reason that should be.
I desperately want Coalition Victory back.
Yeah, like that shouldn't be banned. I think. I guess I get it with braids, but I think that would be cool to be unbanned.
But as far as your original question on banning, I don't think, as far as Commander goes, I don't think we need to worry about banning everything on the reserve list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not a
Um,
big concern of mine. I don't
especially
think.
because the handful of cards that are played, like, people are gonna proxy them anyway.
Mm.
And so because I personally don't have any issue with proxies to any regard, I realize that in a competitive setting, I do agree with that Wizard stance of at least have the legitimate card and show us that you have it. But yeah, I play Commander casually. Like, I traded you my legitimate Crater Hoof Behemoth
Yep.
because I got the rad proxy one from
Yeah, I mean, it's because, yeah, I absolutely agree with what you're saying. I approach all of this from a commander viewpoint because I don't play any other formats. And so,
I'm debating getting into Modern, but
me too.
Is the mindset behind the people who want to ban the reserve list, if I can't have it, nobody should?
I'm sure that's probably to some effect, but I think there is a fair point where, like, because when we talk about this, like, hey, talk with your playgroup. If they're cool with it, you can play it. But, there are people who are not cool with it. And then you now cannot play X card. And if you wanted to play that card, you would need to spend 1,000 real life dollars. It's like, I guess I get it.
It's like, yeah, I get that, but I don't know. I think proxies are fine.
Yeah, like, from a personal perspective, like, that kind of mindset. Like, I used to play World of Warcraft, and there's a buddy of mine. I love this man to death. I would take a bullet for him, but he was one of my absolute least favorite types of player in that he had played for a really long time, and anything cool or easy that came out that had once been hard to do, he would immediately write it off as, oh, I got it back in the day when it was way harder. Yours isn't special, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I hate elitism in especially in games, because it's like the whole point of a game is that we're here to have fun. And that mindset of like, well, you don't get to proxy that card because you don't actually have it. And it's like, well, it makes my deck run smoother, and I don't want to pay $1,000 for a piece of.
You can't pay $1,000 for it. I don't want to be locked out of a fun card just because I'm not rich.
Yeah.
Like, I've been debating getting a proxy of Gaia's Cradle for my Shalai deck because it's green white token.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm not going to spend $900 for a Gaia's Cradle. When it's like, and I get the mindset probably stems from, I spent the money for this card, so why should you get to use a cheap imitation of it? But it's like, again, that falls into that I can't stand elitism of that type.
Yeah, it's all about accessibility, right? I certainly used to, like, when I first started playing, I was all about collecting. I was like, oh, I got this card, so happy I got this card. Like when I bought, what was it? Or when I bought Sliver Queen. I was like, oh my gosh, I can finally use this card. I'll be pissed if I see someone who's using that and doesn't have it. But then I realized, like, you know what? That's really against the idea of not even just Magic, but just games as a medium. Like, it should be accessible to some degree. Like, yeah, it stings a little bit when they reprint Mana Crypt again, because that will drive my card's value down. But what do I value more? A piece of cardboard or people getting to play the game in a fun or different way? Well, I'm always going to choose the people. And
exactly. And now here we are, where thanks to you, I now have a copy of Sliver Queen in my Sliver Hive Lord deck.
Yeah, absolutely. The only insult I'll throw at you is that Sliver Hive Lord is the worst of the commanders.
Oh, I know. That's not even an insult.
No, I'm just joking.
I know 100% that he's the worst.
He is.
That's why he's my favorite.
No, I think he's actually probably the best for Sliver Tribal, like aggro. I'm just a filthy degenerate who plays Sliver Control combo, and
which I get Sliver Queen would be the favorite there, because like her and Mana Echoes, like I was doing the math with Andrew the other day. Like I think 3 generic mana, and then that's all you need to go infinite.
Not even that. You can use that if you just have. You don't even need Mana Echoes if you just have like an Impact Tremors on the field. You just have Sliver Queen and Basalt Sliver, and then you sacrifice each token to pay for the next token, and you kill everybody.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Dude,
Meanwhile,
like, there's
I'm out here,
so many combos with Sliver Queen. It's my favorite card.
Wanting to do he came out in Modern Horizons. He's the one that gives all slivers when they're dealt damage, they deal that damage back.
I should know this, but I don't. Hold on a minute.
Is it
but
red?
He is red.
Let me see.
Not Lava Belly Slivers. Spiteful Sliver. Sliver creatures you control have whenever this creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target player or planeswalker.
That one.
I've never fooled around with that one.
I have him in my Sliver Hivlord deck because Sliver Hivlord is indestructible, and then I run Star of Extinction.
Oh my gosh! Or what about Blasphemous Act?
I could, and I probably will. Because
Star of Extinction is each. I thought it was target. Oh my goodness, that's mean.
Yeah, so get like 6 slivers out, hit them all for 20, and then just kill everyone at the table.
Shoot, I never even thought about Spiteful Sliver. I might have to. Did you? I posted on Twitter, but did you read my deck tech or my primer of my Sliver deck? Because there's some fun things in there you might find enjoyable.
I think I saw it, but I will go through when we're done recording and check it out again.
There's some fun stuff to do in there. But
because my whole thing is I play very creature heavy, and so that's what I love about Slivers, in that because of all the different abilities they have, I can afford to run less like regular spells in favor of more Slivers.
The best thing about Slivers is, except for like, Sliver Queen, Sliver Legion, like the big
is Legion the only one that you didn't do a proxy for?
And Hive Lord. Legion's the only one I don't own of the big ones. But they're overall fairly cheap. I know the modern deck's a little expensive, but even Gale Rider is like $10, Pulmonic is like $10 at the most. Most Slivers are fairly cheap, quote unquote.
I was able to go after I built. What I'll do is I'll build my whole list, and then I'll go online and I'll order one.
You're cutting out a little bit. I can't hear you very well.
Yeah, you're cutting out a lot.
Okay, how about now?
There we go.
I'll build my list, and then I'll search them up on like TCG Player or Card Kingdom.
Yep.
And I'll order every one that's like under $1. And when I did that with Slivers, I got like 75% of my creatures.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're just a lot of fun. They're like, if you've ever played Hearthstone, they're like Murlocs.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that sort of archetype stronger together. But I figured I'd, make it crazy and instead try to combo off with it, which ended up being more expensive than I'd like to admit. But
this started about proxies and it turned into Slivers.
That's usually how conversations with me tend to go, is we'll start talking about proxies and then I'll figure a way to shoehorn in Slivers.
Earlier today we recorded another Taps for Two with Michael 1916, the guy that just hypes up everybody.
Yeah.
And we brought him on to talk about pet cards and pet decks, and by the second half of the conversation, we were talking about combos in Modern and Legacy.
Respect.
But yeah, did Tyler tell you that I traded for one of those mana crypts that you traded?
Oh yeah, that's kind of the reason why I'd asked you for 2 of them when we did our trade. I traded him one of the proxy mana crypts for a Purphoros and a
It's-
couple.
Hey, that's totally cool with me.
It's so pretty.
I'm very happy you like it. I've, been sending and trading to people and whatnot. And I recently just sent some proxies to Ireland, which is very cool. The fact that I've got proxies over in Ireland. Same with London, and I'm going to be sending some to, I think, Brazil in the next week or so.
Dude,
which is
nice.
just very
That's
cool.
awesome.
Just that, like, these are now international.
I've got so my girlfriend, who is also a colossal nerd,
Mhm.
but she does League of Legends. I do Magic,
Mhm.
so we're keeping it in the same company.
Sure.
But she knows how to play Magic, and so she loves cats and dogs. Those are her favorite animals. So naturally, I'm building her a Ren and Seri deck.
hmm
And part of the reason why I really want to get into doing my own proxy is I have planned out a suite of 14 7 dog, 7 cat custom tokens that Ren and Seri make based on the animals my family has, the animals her family has, and Andrew's dog.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
And so I'm probably going to get started on those hopefully relatively soon.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cute.
If you want a great, like, if you don't want to invest a lot of time into it, and you would rather just like I'm in terms of like figuring out the right size for Photoshop and blah 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 blah. I really recommend. It's called MSE. It's Magic Set Editor. I used it for when I was trying to create a custom cube, but all it does is it lets you make custom Magic cards, and they have built-in frames that you can use. Or alternatively, there's a huge community of people who use it and make their own custom frames that have like cool extended art and what have you. But that is something I used to use, and it's super handy for something like if it's really relaxed, like you're talking about like,
might
oh,
have
you
to
just
check
want to
that
make a
out.
token.
Because the design that I want to do for the tokens is one of the things I was super excited about when Ikoria came out
Mm-hmm.
was the way that they handled the Godzilla reskins. With
The what skin?
The Godzilla reskins.
Oh yeah.
With the Godzilla name, and then underneath it in a separate box, it's actually.
Oh, I'm sure they have a card frame like that. I guarantee they do somewhere on the forums. You would just have to find it, and you can actually make your own custom forums or custom frames if you want.
Oh yeah, like I said, I've got access to Photoshop, and so it's just a matter of me sitting down and forcing myself to do it.
Absolutely.
I think we're coming up on time.
Right on.
We're at about 44 minutes.
Fantastic.
This has been really fun talking with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I feel like I talked way too much about
You
myself and my
did
proxies.
exactly what we hope a guest will do when we bring.
Well, I'm very happy to be on here. It's my first podcast I've been invited onto, so I'm very happy about that.
We'll have to bring you back on in the future. I mean, we have the episode at time of recording. Your episode of Commander Coliseum has not come out yet, but I think it comes out either this week or next week.
Yeah, I was wondering when that was happening. I'm looking forward to reliving when I destroyed y'all. Played with y'all.
We need to. Tyler and I were talking about this. We need to play a game of Commander with you and our friend Drew, because you have very similar voices.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be like I don't know if you watch Rooster Teeth at all.
Sure. I mean, I'm familiar with the teeth of Rooster, yes.
Which, did you know that name is supposed to be a joke on the phrase cockbite? Anyway.
I did not.
That's why it's Rooster Teeth, because it's cockbite. Anyway, I was like, yeah, it'll be like when I first brought Ryan on and no one could tell if it was Ryan or Jack talking.
Oh yeah, okay. I do know those two. They do sound similar. Yes.
That's funny.
All right, but
Yeah.
like Andrew was saying, it sounds like that's going to be. Sounds like we're going to wrap things up.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you all so much for watching. You'll be able to find links to Ben's. You have a Patreon, right? Patreon and Twitter.
Yes, that is my only social media at the moment. I don't know if I should change that, but
You have a Twitter account?
Yeah.
Yeah, this crazy app with a bird.
Yeah, y'all can find Ben there, and yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see more from us in the future, leave a like and consider subscribing. I flub that line every time. And yeah, y'all have a great day.
Peace.